Welcome once again to this broadcast. My name is Apostle Helen Rudoken, coming to you on the waves of Majesty Christian Television Network. We welcome you and we hope you're going to enjoy this broadcast. Our topic today is confronting the security challenges in Bijlmer. But we want to take our concentration on the Bijlmer Centrum. So we are looking at the security challenges in this community. So in line with the objective of the Bijlmer Centrum Gebiedsplan 2019 of improving safety and liveability, we are organizing this discussion with key stakeholders from this district as part of our media work. According to this report, the number of burglary and nuisance cases, being respectively 39% and 25%, are above the Amsterdam average, which is 30% and 18% respectively. So together with a high-powered panel, we will be highlighting these issues, but also we'll be making suitable recommendations for improvement. So our guests tonight, our panel today comprises of the following distinguished personalities. From my left, we have Her Excellency Mrs. Tanya Jadnanansing, who happens to be the chairlady, Daily Board of Amsterdam Southeast District, the mayor of Amsterdam Southeast District. Welcome, Her Excellency. Welcome.
Thank you
to
so much.
Majesty
Thank you.
TV. I hope you are relaxed.
I'm really relaxed.
We also have Mr. Jeroen van der Hoorn, who is the operational expert, Dutch police of the Amsterdam support. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here and to see a police being very calm.
Of course. Till the action starts.
We have a community leader who is also like a social commentator. As a matter of fact, he was an ex-police officer.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So he is a Chief Nii Tackie, local resident. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam.
And we also have our own community leaders who are here from the Nigerian community. But we have the Igwe Oputobe, Chris, and the rest of them here. Please, can you say hello to the audience? Can you open your mouth and say something? Hello. Wow, awesome. Well, that is it, and we hope those of you who are out there to join us on the Facebook, via our Facebook or WhatsApp, make your comments, and feel free to call the studio line on 020-3374-160. Join the discussion. It's going to be very lively, and feel free to text us on what is your concern. So welcome once again, panelists. Now the first question goes this way. How do we explain why Bijlmer Centrum has a high crime rate of 39% than the Amsterdam average, which is 30%? How do we explain that? Jeroen?
Well, let me introduce myself at first. I'm Jeroen van der Hoorn. I work for 28 years for the police of Amsterdam. And I've worked in several areas in Amsterdam, so I can compare the different areas. And when I say, well, in Amsterdam Southeast is the beautiful city of Amsterdam to work, yes. A lot of very nice people to work with, but there are also very different kind of complicated problems that are here in Amsterdam Southeast, and that also are causing some kind of crime. Amsterdam, of the Bijlmer Centrum, there is also a big shopping center, and there's also in a shopping center there are certain kind of crimes that are committed there, like shoplifting, and that is raising already the crime average in that area. And besides that, there are also you can see that in the center that there are also addicted people who are trying to get drugs, and people who are selling drugs. It also happens in Amsterdamse Poort. So we're trying to go against that, but that's also a crime to sell drugs. So when we catch them, it's also a number for crime again. So that raises the crime number in that area.
Wow. So who are are those people who are selling those things? Who are the people who are, I mean, when you look at from your experience, so who are those who are selling these drugs or whatever, are they from the minority ethnic groups or from the majority ethnic groups?
There's several ethnic groups, and there is a question for the drugs, so there is also people who are going to sell it, and that are small dealers. There are bigger dealers behind it, but they have a small amount of drugs in their possession, and they're not addicted, or some of them are addicted themselves, and that's the way how they provide in their living, and they can provide in their own drugs. So it's all kinds of people who sell drugs.
And those who are into the shoplifting, because I heard you made mention of shoplifting, those who are into shoplifting, so do they do it under normal circumstances, or they take some dents and they are being empowered to do that?
There are also several reasons why people do it. There are really some people, they do it out of poverty. They really are going to steal bread to eat. But there are also people who try to steal expensive goods so they can sell it for a lower price, and they use the money to buy the drugs.
Permit me to ask you once again. I thought there are cameras all over the shopping complex to alert the police when shoplifters are around the corner. So what do you do? Does those cameras don't ring a bell to you guys?
The shopping center Amsterdamse Poort we have camera visibility from the police station. We see what happens on the street.
Yeah.
But our responsibility of the police stops at the door of the shop. So the shop itself is responsible for the safety inside of their shop. So we try to work together. I talk to the shop owners, and we try to work together to say, well, this is the way they're stealing right now. They take bags, they're prepared with something that when they walk out of the shop, the bell doesn't ring. So
so the alarm doesn't go off.
Alarm doesn't go off, so we tell them, well, pay attention to people who have this kind of bags, because that's the way they are trying to steal it right now. So we try to work together, but the owners of the shops are responsible for their own shop to make it as safe as possible. So we can't look inside the shop. We just can see the street of the shopping center.
What I mean is, like, this is very funny. It's like you are there seeing somebody about to open a shop, and you know that this is not the owner, and you are saying to us that your work doesn't include go inside the shop. It's only the outside. Okay.
When we see somebody breaking in a shop, then we come there, but we can't look inside the shop. So most of the shops have their own camera system inside, and they have their security. I saw it in the picture at the beginning. That's a security company they can hire to secure their own goods in the shop. So that is what they have to do themselves, and we look outside.
So it's like a shared responsibility, right?
Yeah, we work together.
The police is responsible up till the door, and at the door step there begins the responsibility of the shops.
Yeah.
Wow. So what about the burglaries in the store? You know, the homes. The what do you call it?
House burglary.
Yes.
Inbreker.
Yes, what about those ones?
Yeah.
Well, that's different every time. So now I'm a neighborhood policeman of the Amsterdamse Poort, and there are a lot of houses above the shops, and there are in this year only 3 burglaries of houses in 2019.
Yeah. Only 3.
Only 3.
Yeah.
So that's.
I think that's good to emphasize that there were only 3 burglary cases in Amsterdam Southeast, because everybody is, of course, there are things happening in Amsterdam Southeast, but it's not like Amsterdam Southeast is now a no-go area with crime all over.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very good to just emphasize on that also, that Amsterdam Southeast actually is a really beautiful place to work and to live and to have your school. And actually that's why I want to compliment you on also providing us this opportunity to talk about the safety in Amsterdam Southeast, because when you read the newspapers, you would think that Amsterdam Southeast has become a no-go area.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not true, because when you see the facts and the figures, I love to go back to the facts. And the facts are that only three. There were three inbreakers in the whole year.
That was in the Amsterdamse Poort.
Of course, in the whole of
other
Amsterdam
areas
Southeast,
in Amsterdam Southeast it can be higher,
Yeah.
but then we are going to try to investigate who is responsible and try to catch them. And mostly when we catch the perpetrator, then it stops, and then it's better again.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and actually this is, yes, of course you are right, it's not just only three in whole of Amsterdam Southeast, that would be a party, but the fact that we have in Amsterdam Southeast, we have problems, but it's not just in Amsterdam Southeast, it's in the whole of Amsterdam. I would really like to underline that part, that it's in the whole of Amsterdam, we have a problem with our with crime rates.
Yes.
It is not only in Amsterdam Southeast. So I like you bringing out these numbers also for our viewers, so they know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's important. Very, very important. Wow. Because when you read it, it's like Amsterdam Southeast is like a no-go area, as if everybody here is just committing one crime or the other. But that's not the case.
That's not the case. Absolutely not. We have more good things going on than bad things.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Wow. So, do you have any question, any one of you?
Yeah, I think I have to come in. He said that in Amsterdam, he said that in Amsterdam Zuidoost, there is about 3 inbreakers in the whole of 2019.
Yeah.
I think, to my own understanding, a few weeks ago, there was a Nigerian lady. And I think in Koyo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had it.
She was at work, and her son was on a school trip for exchange program, and her house was boggled. And something so surprising, it's not in the night, it's in the daytime, and there's neighbors by the side. And television was taken, and a lot of things in the house was taken, and they break the window. So I'm now like thinking, at least for somebody to hit the window, there should be a loud noise. And maybe, I don't know whether the case was registered with police, but he called me, told me that the police is aware of it. And the same building, I think 2 years ago, a Nigerian lady was also traveling to Africa. The same thing happened. So I think there's a lot of inbreakers, especially within the Zuidoost. But I think if you compare, like I live in Amera, if you compare with the high rate of inbreakers in Amera Bata, I think it's getting higher to compare with Amsterdam, because there's a lot of inbreakers especially in Amera Haven and Amera Bata.
Really?
Yes.
So we're better in Southeast.
Yes. It's getting more better in Southeast, because I think if you look at the number of inbreakers in Amera Bata, Amera Haven, it's getting high.
Okay, so I think this is good for us to have these discussions to help us understand that, again, crime rates are everywhere. Crimes are being committed everywhere, in Amsterdam, in Almere, and everywhere. And I think that as Amsterdam Southeast, we have a duty to our the inwoners, the people who live here. So I think it's good to have these kinds of programs to tell people that if they are, how do you say this? If they think they are afraid, or they have questions or anything, that they can come to the police, or they can come to us as we have a team, a special team, security team, in our own council, city council, and they can ask us questions. And we organize dialogues. We have dialogues. We go to schools we talk to people for the children in schools, because we think that actually when Jeroen comes, it's way too late. Actually, what we have to do as a community is we have to raise our kids and our people to not get in touch with Jeroen, because when you're at Jeroen, it's too late. So they have, we have to, because why are these kids or people, why are they shoplifting? Sometimes they are out of, I don't know, just because they need money. But sometimes it's because actually we had a case where kids were getting into a store because they were hungry.
Yeah.
And then that's poverty.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Then it's not about safety, but then it's about me as the chairperson.
Yeah.
I have to go into that, and I have to see, okay, what's this about? So what's the cause of this? And so because this is we call this a complex problem. When you see kids pushing drugs at streets,
Wow.
then it's not like these are criminal kids. No, what they are doing is a criminal act, but these are kids. And what do kids need? Kids need to go to school.
Yes.
Kids need to get an education.
Exactly.
Kids need to get a breakfast. And so I think then it's actually our duty as stadsdeel to go into that and to just investigate what is happening here. When last week or so I was interviewed, and they were asking me all these questions about the safety issues in Amsterdam Southeast, and I told these people that yes, we have safety issues, but actually we have an issue of our kids getting are they getting a good education? This is the question. Are they getting the jobs? Are they being discriminated when they are want a job? So these are the real questions I have to ask ourselves before we go into all these burglary and nuisance sort of issues. We need to have the conversation on how do we raise our children, how do we raise our own community, how do we look at our own community. So I think that's the real issue we have to discuss.
Well, let me say this here. I became alarmed when the issue of child delinquency and truancy became rampant here in the Southoost. I had always harped on the fact that the system in Ghana or in Africa where children are disciplined by members of the community even before their parents are later informed. Over here, there are Ghanaians, to be precise, who are afraid to discipline their children because the kids go to school and they tell their teachers, oh, my parents are not treating me well. And before you say Jack, your child has been taken away from you. And to avoid that situations where parents lose their children, they cannot correct them when they started going wayward. I was alarmed when the statistics show that majority of the children who have become delinquent and they were pilfering from the shops are Ghanaians. And I had a chat with a parent who told me, well, my child has become naughty and I'm afraid to tell it on his face or reprimand him because when he goes to school, I may lose him entirely. So the system is actually working against the upbringing of children in Southoost.
Then actually we do need to discuss that with
We
each
need
other.
to discuss that with each
We have to
other.
organize a conversation because I think that actually I do believe that parents have they have this obligation to tell their children what's right and what's wrong. And but they, what is in Holland, you have you cannot hit your children,
You see?
and I believe you don't need to hit your children at all. But I know that I was brought up in Suriname, and when I was quite a naughty sort of child, and I got some slippers from my mom. And this was a custom in Suriname because this was the way.
But over here you can't touch a child.
No, and I do believe that don't hit children with slippers.
Yes.
But there should be a balance. This is the hitting with the slippers, and here is we don't talk at all to our children. And I was at a church, the Pentecost church. I was in a discussion there, and then the young people it was really nice because the young people were confronting their parents with how do we how do we talk to each other? And how do we, in the upbringing, what conversation can we have with each other? And I think that would be the start of, not being afraid. So the parents should not be afraid, and the children should not be afraid. We need to have another type of talking to each other.
I once bumped into a Ghanaian child who is confronting the parent about his kinderbasla. That he need to buy some sneakers.
Yeah.
So she was demanding, forcefully demanding money from the parent.
Wow.
To buy, in Africa, you can't do that to your parents. Because you'll be spanked, you'll be made to understand that you are being cared for. You can't stay under my roof and be disrespectful. But over here, because you don't touch the child, because you have, the child thinks he has a right. A child sits with the parents in the television, and maybe if the remote is broken, and he tells the child to go and change he will tell the child, but what are you doing, daddy? I like the program there, so if you don't like it, why don't you go and change it? It's utter disrespect. Over in Africa, it won't happen. But over here, it seems the rise of the child is getting out of hand. It's about time certain measures are put in place as far as discipline is concerned. The result is the waywardness and the shoplifting, the pilfering, and the other bad attitude we are observing in South Africa here.
But do you think that, I don't know, it's just a question. It's a question. Because I think that, actually discipline children with hitting them or something.
Not necessarily hitting, no.
But I think with words.
With words.
You can do a lot. But do you think that in that conversation, are parents having enough tools to talk to their children? Do parents understand the world in which the children are living? Because in Holland it's quite different from Ghana or Suriname or Aruba or anything. And actually our kids, I love kids, so I will always be the advocate for the kids.
Yes.
Because I think the children in Holland, in everywhere, there's social media.
Yeah.
There is a lot of pressure. So I think that we as parents, we do have to also understand the world our children are living in. Do you think the parents are aware of all the challenges
they are aware.
Also?
Naturally, children are adventurous. They want to do things because their peers are in it, or they are inquisitive naturally. And that is where the parents has to come in and tell the child, this is wrong, this is right, this is not good. A girl went to school and was coming from school with blood at the back of her dress, and a passerby beckoned upon the girl and said, "Oh, there is blood," and this girl became, he went home and nearly committed suicide because the parents doesn't discuss that at your age, a time may come, you have your mental cycle.
This is exactly what I mean. That, you should
because of lack of communication, the parents has never told the girl that this is something that might happen because at your age.
I want to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think what I want to add to this discussion is the fact that we're here to discuss the security issues facing the community. And I do understand the fact that you want to go to maybe the genesis of why
it is happening.
I get that understanding. But if I may, put us back onto the security track, would it be fair to say that a particular group of youngsters are within the higher group of people that commit the crime, or there are also adults who are because I'm sure you have all these type of statistics based on who you've arrested and who you haven't. So maybe you can shed some light so that we can understand, okay, within this age group are the highest people that highest offenders, and then we can then
come to my area
to the genesis of it. But if we don't know that, it's like we are then wasting.
You want to have the fact and figures,
exactly.
and then go into the discussion of
because the issue here is about burglary. I don't think kids are into burglary.
My point.
So we're talking about adults here. The people who are into burglary.
Into burglary?
Not the kids.
Well, before you get on, let me enlighten you about this. I was at home about a week or two ago, and then I had a bell on my door. When I opened, here was the gentleman with gadgets and other things telling me there's a leakage on the floor below me. So he want to come and check my house whether the water is actually coming from my place. Then I asked him, where from you? What's your identity? Oh, it's in the car. Okay, then go and bring it. Let me know you, because I understand over here in Holland, before somebody comes into your door,
they have to identify.
No, even there should be a letter at times a week or two before that appointment. This man went downstairs, and before I could see, he joined the car and they are gone.
Left. Really? Oh my God.
Part of the burglary.
But you see, so if you are not alert, you'll be taken. But with my background and my experience, I won't let you in. I would like to have, a documentary proof. By the way he appeared with the gadgets and other things, you will automatically see him as a worker.
Let's get to the figures from.
Okay, so this is also a method about how they steal from people in houses. But we see a lot of younger people committing burglary in houses. But there's various people are doing this. So also adult people who are breaking in houses. But we do see even younger kids, besides burglary, also street robbery with knives or even fake guns or real guns. We see that as well. So it is really important to start young with the education of children, to talk about this problem and to be away from this kind of burglaries or street robberies.
Because they are getting younger and younger, right?
Yes.
The kids who are doing
even from primary school, people of children already have tasers or knives in their possession.
But are kids from group 8.
Group 8, yes.
So these are children from what, 11
years old, yeah.
They
are already carrying weapons.
One thing I've observed is that these adults who engage in burglary, they have devised, sophisticated means that they can, before you realize, they are in your house. And then they pull a gun on you or a knife on you and take your your card and go and take money from. There are whole sort of things going on. A colleague was telling me the other day, he was at home when 3 men came. They say, oh, the government has access to come into houses and change your electric bulbs with non-consuming energy-saving bulbs. You let them in, and before you realize, they put a knife. Where is your card? Tell us your PIN code. They put a knife on you, and one of them goes to the ATM machine, collect all your money. They come and they lock you in the toilet, in the bathroom, and then off they go.
It happens, but that's not the major
that is
amount
not the
of burglary. At the daytime and nighttime, they check if somebody's home. And they like to, that's nobody's home, and then they break in. That's a good point you mentioned just now, that Southeast is an area where people are very anonymous. So there are a lot of communities, and people don't want to interfere with other people's problems. So you told just now that the glass was breaking and nobody was calling the police. And that's a problem we see, and we would like to have the connection with all the people in Southeast, that we want them to call us 112 when somebody is seeing a burglary taking place, that they give a signal to us that we can come right away. But we see that when we go there after it happened and we call at the other houses if somebody saw anything, then they thought, well, I saw it, a guy I didn't trust, but I didn't call the police. But we want them to call the police. So that's...
Well, let me say this finally here. There is this issue about policing, which is police visibility. Let me commend the Amsterdam police that they are visible almost everywhere. Every 2-3 minutes, you see 2 ladies riding horses. You see another 2 riding motorbikes, another 2 on bicycles, some walking. The police visibility is very good here. But the system of policing varies from country to country. In Ghana, we have the neighborhood work committee, where few men and women in the community, a policeman joins them, and they stay awake all night to police their community. Here, there are no watchdog communities, but they have their effective way of policing. I pray that system works so that everybody will feel safe in Southoost.
Thank you very much. It's good being here. We're talking about security. I think Southoost has enough security and they're doing well. There was what they introduced like community security. Those guys, they put on red with bike. They go around the city everywhere. I used to sit down and watch them always. It is very interesting. That is security.
You mean is it this the street coaches, straat coaches? In the red they are the straat coaches.
And those people are reported to the police.
Yeah.
And are reported to all organizations. That's why Southoost crime went down. So I recommend you. And again, I want to ask a question, please, Doctor. What can we do? I'm asking the mayor and the security officer here.
Yeah.
He has worked here for 20 years. He said.
Yes.
What can we do again to stop this crime? What can we do? What effort do you think you can put again to stop all these crimes?
Before he comes in, let me say one thing here. He will talk.
Yes, please.
I have a little police background. The criminal is always ahead of the police. And the system is dynamic. It has to change itself to be ahead of the criminal. Because as you are policing in this system, the criminals is devising ways to avoid capture. So the police is always dynamic. So the question. Okay, come in here.
Yes. Because you ask what you can do about and that's what I just what you can do as a community or as the inwoners from Amsterdam Southeast. Well, you mentioned Almere, and that's also a big place, but it would be good to know your neighbors, know your direct surroundings, that you can see when something's happening, what is not right. And then there are also app groups that people start in a street, that if somebody sees something that's not good, that they contact each other and they go together outside to look, well, what's the problem, or when we really think it's dangerous, still you have to call 112 that we can come at the scene. So we'd like that people are alert at the street and contact us at the time that it's really taking place, or the area is divided in different areas. So in Bijlmer police station, the area is divided in 14 areas, little areas, and they all have their own neighborhood policemen. So I'm from Amsterdamse Poort, but there is one at Vensterpolder, there is one at the FD-buurt, and at the website www.politie.nl there's Mijn Buurt. If you click that and you put in your street name number or your zip code, then you can find your neighborhood policeman, and you can contact him directly by pushing a button. And if there's a safety issue you want to talk to him about, you can contact him directly, and he contacts you to make an appointment to talk about the problems you see. And then you can, well, maybe solve it together.
Can I come in briefly?
Let me ask my next question, please. So are there particular situations or issues favoring burglary and nuisance incidents here than elsewhere?
Why is it more? Is that the question?
No, are there, particular issues that are favoring them?
Also.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just mentioned about the anonymity in Amsterdam Southeast. There are a lot of different communities, and people are not knowing their neighbors, or if somebody is doing something, they're not reacting. They see it, but they walk away.
Yes.
So that's favoring the burglary. That's easy to do it because nobody dares to do something about it. And nuisance, well, there's also a cultural aspect on it, that a lot of people are in the street.
Yeah.
So they're not only inside their houses, but they want to meet each other and meet each other at the street and stay there. Sometimes all day long they're staying at Amsterdamse Poort at a certain central space because they want to meet each other. But sometimes they drink and get drunk, and then, well, the people above it don't like it because they want to sleep and have to work the next day. So that can be a reason why it's more than in other parts of Amsterdam or in Holland, where people all stay in their houses at night and it's all quiet at the street.
Well, can I ask you one question here?
Of course.
Unlike in Ghana, where the policemen, we are all camped in a barracks. But over here, the police live individually among the community. Unfortunately, they don't bring their uniforms home. So you can live with a policeman in your block for years and you don't know he's a policeman. Because he leaves for work in civil dress, he reaches the office and put on the police attire. Am I right here?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So why don't you bring your uniforms home for the community to know that, oh, there is a policeman living with me in this flat? You know, it's police visibility. It scares away burglary. It scares, you know.
So they have to be visible also.
They have to be visible in their homes.
In the past, that was
the situation.
Happening, the situation also in Holland. And you had to live in the area you were the policeman. And you had to be visible for the neighborhood. But there are movements in that, and how do you call bonds? The people who...
The unions.
Who come for the policemen. They see the backside of that, and the children of the policemen were not having a very nice life in their neighborhood.
Okay.
And the policeman himself, all day he was. Everybody came to him to talk about this problem. He was never free.
Okay.
That's the backside of that.
People were taking advantage of your presence. And then,
this is it.
Instead of going to the police station, everybody will knock your door with a complaint.
They think they have their own police station at home.
I suppose we're threatening to the street. Once they know you are a police officer, and you know, everybody will try to avoid you also. Even your children, as I said.
I commend the Netherlands police after coming here that hardly do they use their weapons. Hardly. It is only to the extremes. But over in America and other places, even in Germany, in France, in the twinkle of an eye, they are gun firing.
We don't have crime here.
You know, the crime is low.
It's not like we don't have crime. It's that they are tamed.
They are tamed, They don't use their weapons unnecessarily.
They're more human, yes.
You see?
Can we ask the mayor a question? With regards to solution, because I believe strongly that there are a lot of people in the Amsterdam southeast area who are on quote unquote bystand, and this is not to disrespect them or anything, but I have a feeling that if a project is designed to basically involve people who are on bystand, who usually are most of the time home, if I can put it that way, if they can become more alert and basically interact with the police if they see something awkward in their neighborhoods, they can alert, like he said. Maybe people on bystand can also be part of the solution, where they can also be more proactive in how they react to certain things, and that I think can open a dialogue. I'm just looking at it from a solution point.
So this is a recommendation.
More.
Well, actually, because we have, you know what? I am a person who thinks on what are the pros and what are the cons.
Right.
So what I can do is we have another dialogue within 2 weeks, and I will propose this recommendation you made here. I will propose it in that group because there will be like 100 or 150 persons there, and I will just propose it, and I will see how people react on this, because I do believe in unorthodox. You know, I do believe that, you know, if we're doing what we've already done, we'll have what we already have.
True.
So we have to go into looking at other solutions, like, you know, we now have, talking about unorthodox, we have a group of mothers. This is called Southeast Safety Movement. And yes, and because they said that we as moms, we want to stand up against crime.
Right.
And they are actually now, you talk to them, right? The police talks to them a lot, and they come up with all those solutions. And they are, they are moms, so they see a lot in their neighborhood.
Right.
So I like that. And so also your recommendation, I will take it to the conversation, because I am a person, I believe in the conversation with the community, because if Jeroen and we come up with all these solutions, and it's not from the community itself, then the community will tell us, like, you're coming up all these solutions, but they don't work, they are not from us. Exactly. What I want for Southeast is that we are in a shared responsibility mode.
Right. I agree with that, because more or less people would feel a part of the solution.
Yes.
And they will also feel worthy of, being able to...
Well, Mr. Jerome, I once read on the Statica that the Dutch is closing down the prisons for lack of inmates. I don't know how true that is, but it's true.
I read it.
You heard it also. If it is so, then the statistics we are hearing now that crime is over 30, is getting 39, and the prisons are empty. How do you marry the two?
I don't know exactly what the reason is that they close it, but it's right that they have not enough inmates for them.
The criminals are less.
Yeah.
Unless
maybe there
we
are less criminals and doing more crime.
Crime.
So when one person does 20 burglaries, we only need one cell for him. So that could be a reason, but I don't know exactly what the reason is. And maybe they give other punishment because they also see that the free imprisonment is the best punishment for every person who commits a crime.
So, but then can we say that community labor as punishment to minor crimes, is it happening here? So
that happens, yeah.
You see people pick on the street.
That happens here in Southeast as well.
Yeah. Is that a part of effort to avoid incarceration or putting people in prison? That is why the police or the system wants to close down the prisons?
That's one of the reasons, I think, yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
But don't think that everybody who is cleaning the streets is a...
Okay.
Some of them are, some are not. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's a good point you made. It's a good point you made. Otherwise, all the people who are cleaning the streets, we are looking at them as, oh, you did something. These are the people who are so precious to us.
I once inquired and they told me those who are doing the picnic, and they are minor offenders who don't want to. Yeah. You see? So we get scared when they come picking around our community, then everybody's looking at them. Hey.
What did you do?
So this is not true. Their viewers, it's not
true. Okay. Interesting.
I have a question for Jeroen. I think a few years ago I noticed that most of the crime you see, especially the burglars or the other petty crimes, it's not as a result of most of the time people live here. It's also from
other communities.
Yes, because the border is open. You see a lot of foreign cars like Poland, Romania,
Germany, they all driving.
Most of the time they come here and they are the one committing this crime. Have you police noticed that?
Yes, we notice it, and it's true what you say, because the perpetrators are very various. So they're also from east of Europe. But they also live here because the houses in Southeast are a bit cheaper than other parts of Amsterdam. So they also stay here and work somewhere else. So again, not all Polish people are burglaries and other perpetrators, but we see it from all kinds of people who commit crimes.
Can I ask you one question? I was once sitting in front of my door when a bus stopped. And then two gentlemen came out and they walked to me, telling me they have some beds, these cushion beds. They are offering for sale. How much? Very cheap. So I suspected them to be criminals. I just removed my police picture and showed it to them. And instantly they confess, oh, we work at a mobile shop in England.
Yeah.
And these are gifts from our employers, and that's why we've come here to sell. Then I asked them, why do you have to cross from England to the continent to come and sell something that has offered to you? They say, oh, they are sorry, they are not even selling again, they want to go. And then they left. I'm asking, I became curious that are the borders porous for people to just drive in to commit crimes and go back? Or how are our borders being policed?
Well, Europe is open.
The Schengen states?
So you can drive
In and out?
And out. But England is now another story, of course, because
because of Brexit.
border is a bit more difficult to come here to Holland. But they can come from any country who is within the EU. You can move freely.
Freely.
So that is not
Okay,
easy.
let me go to my next
Topic,
question. The fourth one. Has Burganet, the collaboration of the municipality, police and the neighborhoods, effective in bringing down crime-related incidents so far? If not, why? And what needs to change?
It really helps us to solve crimes as burglary. So at each burglary, house burglary, we send a message to everybody who has joined Burganet. So I would really say that everybody should join Burganet, because when you join Burganet and in your street or in your area where you live something happens, it can also be a street robbery or something, then you can get a message, and there at the time it happens. So maybe they say, well, there just been somebody robbed, he looks like this, they give a description. You can walk outside or you look outside your window if you see somebody who is like that description, and you call 112 to alert us, and we can come to the place where he is. And also when the burglary is discovered, after that we ask the whole neighborhood and who is having Burganet, they get it on their telephone, a message, well, between that time and that time were you home, did you see something suspicious, and give us the information you have. If you didn't call the police when you saw it, but maybe now you hear there was a burglary, give us the information so we can use it for to solve it.
Well, I'm a member of the Burganet, and the alert or messages I receive is always about missing children, missing people, and not about burglary. Besides, I can't read Dutch, and I will ask if whether the Burganet can bring their messages some in English, so that we can actually communicate. But because I don't read fluent Dutch and I don't speak it, when their messages come in Dutch, I just glance through and forget it.
But there is a difference between Amber Alert. You also have Amber Alert, and that is
for the children,
that's
right?
especially for
missing
missing persons.
and that's often missing children.
Yeah.
And Burganet, that's what they use at the operational center in the center of Amsterdam. They give all the
languages preference
of now when something happens, they send the cars there,
Cars.
but also when something happens, they use Burganet for the incidents to alert people in the surrounding to be extra alert.
Okay. I mean, this is going to be a funny remark, but I have to say it. You haven't lived in this country to say that you don't speak Dutch or you can't read Dutch.
Yeah.
I think it's not the best. And I'm saying that not because I want to put you on the spot.
To embarrass me?
No. That's why I want to clarify that. It's not to put you on the spot, but as part of your civil, I would say obligations living here, is to also understand the language. And there is Google Translate. So if you can't understand it, you can just go into
Let me explain this to you.
Thank you.
I had an operation at my spinal cord when I was in the immigrant to learn Dutch. And as a result, I went to the hospital and my specialist gave me a declaration that because of the medicines I take, which makes me drowsy, I shouldn't go to the immigrant again. And that I should speak only English. That's why I don't speak Dutch.
Oh my God. See, this is interesting thing. Because I knew you would go there.
No, that is why I don't speak Dutch. I have a declaration from the HADR.
Don't speak Dutch.
That because of the medicines I take.
You can as well do a
Google translation. Yeah.
In letters, because sometimes if I get a letter, I speak Dutch. I write Dutch, but sometimes I want to understand it very well in English.
Yeah.
I do this only this.
Yeah.
You go to
I have a
Google
translator on my phone.
Yeah.
I have a translation on my phone. When I receive a letter from any of the departments, I translate myself and I read. But to communicate with somebody is where I have the difficulties.
But you mentioned that the burger net thing when it comes.
Yeah, they come in Dutch. I don't understand it because it's.
Go translate it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, you are right. I haven't thought about that now.
but you know, actually, we are laughing and we're having fun about this, and that is good. But actually, this is quite a good recommendation to our viewers. If people think that, well, actually, I don't understand, then it actually is quite a good tip for people. Just take Google Translate, and then you can understand. Yeah. I think it's a good tip. Yeah.
Normally translate.
Well, we are just coming almost to the end of this broadcast. We have one more question.
Yeah.
So, is there a way for the police and the neighborhood to better collaborate for improved security and safety?
Yeah, actually, I do think that there are a lot of things going on now in Amsterdam Southeast. We have something which is called lopend vuurtje. Lopend vuurtje, which is, if I would translate it directly, it would be walking fire. And what is this? It is the police and all the stakeholders in the neighborhood, and also people from the city council. They come together. They have a meal together. They talk about safety issues, and then they go and walk in the neighborhood. And so it's actually the people who live there, with the police, with civil servants, and people, youth workers, everybody who is involved in getting Southeast more safe. They are collaborating with each other. So this is one of the things we do. But we have dialogues, of course. But we also have now we have special projects in schools, in which we talk with young people about, actually, you know, some of the young people, they think they are it's hot to be a criminal. It's nice. It's I'm a gangster. And what we do is, we go into schools, not me, but people from us. They go into schools and they have this conversation with kids, and we say, instead of having weapons, you should weapon yourself with knowledge. So, and we have this thing called wapen jezelf met kennis. So you go and get educated. So there are a lot of things going on. We had, like 2 weeks ago, we had a big meeting in a center in which we invited all people from Amsterdam Southeast to talk about what we are doing and asking them, is this enough? Because, you know, we can come up with all kinds of things, but actually what I heard today, I already give from you, I had some good ideas, and I'm like, okay, maybe we can do this. So I do believe that we have to go out. We have to go out the office, go into the neighborhoods and ask people, okay, how can we help you? But also, I like the idea of shared responsibility. So this is what we are doing. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Any contribution from you, Jeroen?
Well, some things I already said, that we really would like to have the connection with the people who live, and that we all have to look for safety problems, and then we have to talk together to solve it. So we really want the connection with the people who live in Amsterdam Southeast.
I've heard you say this dialogue 2 or 3 times now. Yes, and listen, what's happening to the one of the Nigerians?
I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I do know I want to talk with you all, and I do believe that also what you are doing now here, this media, this is quite a powerful. This is a dialogue in itself. This is a dialogue in itself. I understand. But I think what you're doing here is really powerful.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people will look at this and they will see, like, okay, we're getting here together. And we're discussing things, so we're getting ahead. Because what I want for our communities and what I want for Amsterdam Southeast is for all of us to go ahead. You know, one step at a time. But we need this prosperity.
Okay, may I ask why the Hoorn police station is closed or taken away?
Well, that's a decision what was made in Den Haag. The national police had to take place, and the police station had to be bigger and less police stations.
Less police stations.
So there is a backside of that we aren't near the people who live there, but we try to be as much as we can also in that areas.
Yeah, because when the National Police Station was there, it makes people in the vicinity feel the presence, more safe. The police are around, but since they close, you have to go as far as to the Amsterdam Port or Hansenhof or Rahisbos before you can get closer to the police. So people living Haspaplas and beyond are, secluded from the police presence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because it's as what Jeroen said, it's a decision made by Den Haag, The Hague, not by us.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, quick question though. You mentioned that you are willing to sit down with the Nigerian community for a dialogue.
Yeah.
The question is, are we supposed to basically come to you with a date and a place, or you would want to collaborate with us as to when we can, as to when it can take place?
Well, actually, my style is this one, that if you tell me that you need such a dialogue, then we sit down and we discuss with each other what can we do together.
Okay.
You know.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Your Excellency, why we are saying this is because you know that we were already part of the dialogue which you're supposed to be having. And so, remember when me and the other guy was better connected? What are we?
Bondgenoten.
Bondgenoten.
Yeah.
So, so the other groups have been doing their dialogue, and I really don't know what happened to the one of the Nigerian community.
Okay, so what I can do is I can investigate what happened, and I think that, as I already told you, I think we need to have a conversation with all our people from Amsterdam Southeast.
Yeah, okay.
And so you are part of that community also.
Yes.
You are from the Southeast community.
Yeah.
So we need to have these discussions.
Okay.
Yeah. With you. All of you. Yeah. Yeah.
With all of us. Yeah. So that we can have also our own dialogue and be able to present what we want to present to the police.
Sure, 100%.
That'd be very, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Veron,
last time I was in dialogue, when I was in the dialogue, it was I have something in mind. I have something in my head that you can walk to the police and go out for the police. I remember. Is it still Jeroen?
Documented or undocumented? Undocumented.
Undocumented. Anybody can walk to the police. If police harass you, harass you on the street, or if somebody, if you find a crime, if you see a crime, just walk to the police, report your case to the police, and come out.
Yes.
Is it still out? Walk in and they walk out.
We call it free in, free out.
Yes.
So you talk to the police to say that you are a victim of a crime or you want to report something.
Yes.
Then we're not going to investigate whether you have documents to stay.
Yes. Is it still?
That's still worth.
Yeah.
Because of that investigation, many people don't really want to come.
Yeah, because many people doesn't want to. What is it, police? They all run away. But I want to know if it's still. So I can be able to. I'm a committee leader, so I can be able to tell our people, please, police is your friend, because I came from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Our team is police is your friend in Nigeria.
Yes.
Don't run out from police. If you see police, you make police your friend. So that's why I was asking if that same saying is still available.
Yeah.
Walk free, in,
Free
come
out.
out free. Is it?
Very important to say to all your people in your community that still is worthy. That's the rule. Free in, free out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So finally,
question.
Any recommendations from what we have just discussed now? Are there any recommendation as for how we can still maintain a good security in the Bijlmer?
What I didn't say is by burglary that your house, that you look at your house, does it look like there are some people at home? So leave your light on when you are going away at night. don't leave any windows open. When your door is not good secured, ask the woningbouwvereniging if there are things they can do to more secure the that they can't break it open. There are special metal strips they can put on your door. You can also buy it yourself at the Praxis or something, and then you can put it on your door, and then they can't break it open. But the most important is that that it seems that there's somebody home, because they don't want to break in a house when there's somebody at home.
Yes.
Well, I have a friend who normally leaves the radio and the television on when he's going out. But I advise him against it that electricity can be trusted in people's absence. There can be a touch of a wire and it can lead to flames. So I advise him to put off all his gadgets when going out. I don't know whether it is advisable, but in my estimation, I don't want to leave any electrical gadgets on in my house before I go out, apart from the fridge.
But you don't leave your fridge.
But for the light.
The light.
The light is...
That's safe.
The light is a bit safe, but to leave a television or your radio on, I don't think it's safe.
Always lock your doors when you leave your
Yeah,
house. Always lock it, because the credit card can go in there and still open your door if it's not locked.
Yeah.
I tried it and I
And it
realized
worked.
So,
Thank you.
Good point.
So you just don't
You
go
don't
and
just
just
close
close
Walk
it.
away. No.
Jump the door and
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah.
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 if they push it there like this,
The card
they push it
back.
inside and the door is open. They press their legs to the door like this. And then
Okay, so I've learned something today.
I remember,
Yeah.
I remember when I remember when I locked my key, I locked at myself inside. Then I called that's the company I called.
SOS.
Yeah, they came in with.
Just with
I was
Yeah,
trying,
with the
I was trying to open the doors, crying. Oh, they charged me 150 euros.
Yes.
To open the door. Yeah, in 1 second, they opened just the card.
credit card.
Zing!
Slide it like this.
But I don't want-
Opened.
Oh,
It happened to me.
Yeah.
So that means you have to lock the door.
Yeah.
That is security.
Even when I'm indoors, I lock it.
I lock
Yeah.
it also, yes.
Yeah.
So don't come in.
Yeah, no, because if you don't lock it, someone can
And come and confront me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're right.
Wow, this is the tip of the day.
Well, so we've suddenly come to the end of the broadcast for today, and I believe that everybody have enjoyed it. We are very grateful that we exhausted the point.
Not necessarily in my estimation. Yeah. I think
Well,
there is
that-
more to it because criminals are always ahead. As we meet here, they are thinking about the next step
To be continued.
to be continued. So the police too has to sit upright every day and plan ahead of the criminal.
They are
Yeah.
trying.
They're trying.
They're trying.
As we're talking now, they are listening.
Because when I came in 23 years ago in this country,
Yeah.
I lived in a place called Grunda.
Yeah, Grunda.
Grunda, that old Grunda.
Grunda.
Yeah.
To be frank and honest, when I was coming from England, I was told that Southoost Burma is just
Crime free.
criminal, no, criminal area.
Criminal area.
Yeah. Exactly.
War zone. When I came in, I don't even come out at night. But when I stayed almost maybe 1 year, there's a crime. But what the authority did here was wonderful.
Yeah.
What they did is they demolished all
The tall building.
tall
Yeah.
buildings and sent all the people there away to another.
Most of the criminals are in America.
America. Okay. So do you feel safe
Most
there?
of the criminals are in America.
They are in
Those
America. Oh.
To
Because
west,
it's easy to
central.
hit the
The
highway.
highway.
Yes.
So now,
Okay.
that's why the crime
Rate went down.
reduced. I was so. It doesn't take 5 years.
They did a good job.
Everything was normalized. That's why we're having 39% here. Now I don't think 39 is too much. I don't believe that it's 39.
Yeah.
Because that time it was 50, 100.
Yeah.
If you're walking the street,
It was too much. Yes.
It was too much.
you can probably get gone. Ask to bring
And the
ask to
high
bring
rise.
watch up
Yeah.
or your distance.
High rise.
But we thank God that
Well,
at least things are coming to normalcy,
Police are
and
doing
at
their
the
work
same
now.
time,
Yeah.
our mayor is trying her best for
Yeah.
Southoost,
Yes.
alongside with the police.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
the work you people are
But
doing.
doing
God
it.
richly bless
Yeah.
you,
Yes.
the police, and God richly bless you for sector, and God also bless us, your citizens. So all of you have heard this broadcast. I believe that you must enjoy it, and continue to believe in what God is doing with Southeast, and we make your own quarter, contribute your own good quarter, so that Southeast can be the best for the whole Amsterdam.
Yes, already.
The best for the whole Amsterdam, because we believe in our first sector and we believe in our quarter. Don't we?
We do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Excellency, for being with us again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeroen, for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, and we hope that you're gonna come back to talk about the cyber crimes, because we can see that one is growing so much. It's growing so much. That's another one.
That's true.
Yeah. So thank you for extending your hands to us. Thank you also, sir, for being with us again. Thank you, the community leaders. Thank you for being with us. God richly bless all of you, and we hope to see you again and again and again. Bye bye for now.
Bye.